Good morning or afternoon or whatever time of day it is that you're doing this math lesson. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of one greater or one less. One greater is the idea of adding one thing to something, and one less is the idea of taking one thing away from a group of things that you have. You're going to need a page from your book. So out of our Stepping Stones book, go ahead and get this page ready. It says 125 down here at the bottom. Writing numbers that are one greater or one less up to 20 up at the top. It's got a number line for you to look at as well while we're doing the lesson. And we'll get to this in a bit. I'm going to show you some of the ideas behind what we're doing today. Like I said, we're talking about the idea of one greater or one less. So with one greater and one less, the idea is you're either going to be taking away one thing from a group of objects or adding one thing. Now you guys have done takeaway with subtraction. You've done adding one thing with addition. So you're kind of got that idea in your mind. So here's just a little demonstration. Right now I have no little friends on my little table here. If I add one more, I have one little friend, okay? Now, if I want to start at 1 and add one more, then I would have 2 little things. Now, I have 2 things, so my starting point is now 2. If I want one less thing on this table, one less thing would be start at 2, 1, 2, grab 1 and take it away, okay? So now I have one thing. So it's really that simple. It's finding your number that you're starting at and either taking away one thing or adding one thing to it for the next number, okay? So let's just add a couple things. Now I've got 3 little friends. So my starting point is 3, okay? If I want one less than this, I will take one of my friends away. So one less of 3 is take him away and then just count. 1, 2. So 1 less than 3 is the number 2. It's kind of like counting backwards or spaceship counting if you've been doing that in your room. And if you want to just go to 3 and say one more thing, you would add one more friend, okay? And then count them. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to show you guys how to do this on the number line. I'm going to pause it and move you a little bit so I can get that set up. All right. So here is our board that I set up, our little drawing. It's got a number line on it on top of the board, just like your page that you're going to work on has for you to use. I set it up so this middle thing right here is the number that we're starting with, our starting point. Over here it says 1 less. That means we're going to take away from that starting point. It says 1 less here in red. Over here it says 1 more. This is where we're going to add one once we figure out our starting point. Okay? So for this first one, we really just get to pick a starting point off the top of our head. You're going to have some starting points in your book, but for this, we can just pick one. So I'm going to pick the number 8, okay? That's our starting point. Let's get 8 in our mind. Think about it. You know, we have 8 things. This is where we're going to start. So you can start with your fingers. You can start with counters. I got a couple counters up here, but I don't think I have enough to do a demonstration of actual counters, but I do have my number line, so I'm going to show you how to use that, okay? So what I do is I have my magnetic little things here. You got your number line on your paper that you can use, but you want to put your little guy right on the number. So we're choosing 8 as our number to start with. So I put my little counter right on top of 8 here, so I know where I'm starting, okay? One less, it doesn't have an arrow in your book, but I am going to show you how to add an arrow into your book so you can remember which way you want to move on the number line. It's kind of like we're jumping on the number line, okay? So for our number 1 less, we're going to take 1 jump back this way. What was the number right before this if you're counting in that straight order that you guys have been working on? The number 1 less than 8 is 7, okay? We jumped back this way to here to get the 1 less number, okay? Or we took away 1. So if I have 8 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I take away one of them, there's that 1 being taken away. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's our one less, okay? We go back to our starting point because that's where we were originally. We're going to figure out what the number one more from 8 is. So we have our 8 and we're going to add one more. And we do that on our number line just by taking a jump this way to the right. So if you remember your directions, you're going to be on the number line and you take a jump over to what is your right. So my right is over here while I'm looking at it. So it looks a little backwards for you. But the right will be over this way. We land on number 9, okay? So the number one more than this is 9. I've got my 8 things. There's 8 fingers right there. I add one more or one greater. I want to know what the number is, one greater than 8. The number that's one greater than 8 adds one more to it, and that will be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay? If you do this correctly, your little thing in the book will look like you're just counting numbers in order, okay? So it'll be 7, 8, 9, okay? Because we're doing one greater, and one greater just means we keep counting in the order we're used to, okay? Later on, we can do 2 greater and 3 greater and 4 greater and 2 less and 3 less and 4 less once we get a little bit better with taking away stuff. But right now, we're just doing 1, so it's just going to look like 7, 8, 9. Let's pick another number just to show you how to do this one more time, and then I'll give you your book spot. I'm going to get rid of these things. We're going to pick a number that's a little bit bigger this time, so we're going to start with 13, okay? We're not going to go past 20. We don't need to go to 100 or anything for this. We just want to know, practice doing that. 13 is our starting point. You guys have your little number line, so you put your little counter right on the 13, or you put a little pencil on it. You know that that's where you're starting. We're going to take one jump this way for the one less. We're going to take one jump this way for the one more, and those are going to be our 2 numbers that we're looking for. Let's get our one less first, okay? So we take our one jump, whoop, back one number, and the number one less than 13 is this number right here, is 12. We want to figure out our one more. We have got to go back to your starting point. Don't start from here because we're not trying to figure out what's one more than 12. We want to go back to our starting point of 13. Okay? One greater is going to be jumping that way. Whoop, to this one right here. And this is a 14. So the number that is one greater or one more than 13 is 14. Okay? It's the next number that we'd count. Check do it if we did it right. 12, 13, 14. Those are the numbers in order, so that is perfectly fine. I'm going to go grab the book and show you what I'm talking about for your work. Wow, this is going to ramp up pretty fast. I think the next one's going to be like 100 more. Okay, so you're going to have your page right here. Here's your number line. It's going to tell you where to start. Right here in the middle is your middle number, kind of like this one, okay, where we're starting. I'm going to put my arrows right here so that I know which way to go. One less means we want the number that jumps this way. One greater means we want the number that jumps that way. Okay, from that starting point that's in this middle line here, or this middle box. And you can put those arrows on every single one of them. Over here on this side, it's going to be one greater. Over here on this side, it's going to be one less. That way you know which way to move on this thing, okay? So for this one, it says start on 6. So we start on 6. And you can use a pencil and eraser, because these are kind of small. You don't have counters that work this small, but you can kind of circle your 6. And then you're going to take one jump this way for this box. So it's 5. And you're going to take one jump this way for the one greater box. And that's going to be right there, okay? So 5 is one less than 6, or this way one spot. And 7 is one greater than 6. So this is like take away 1 to get this box. This is like add 1 to get this box. So you kind of have to do a little bit of adding and subtracting in this particular lesson, okay? For this one right here, it tells you to start at the number 9. So I erased my circle up here, and now I'm going to start at 9. I'm going to circle that, okay? This tells me 1 less needs to jump 1 back here. So 8 is 1 less than 9. This tells me 1 greater, I need to jump 1 more to the right. And 1 more is 10, okay? So for all those, I'm always starting at this spot in the middle. It tells me a different starting spot right here. For this one, you're gonna start at 15. So erase all this nonsense up here and put a circle around 15 before you figure out the number before it. 1 less and the number after it, okay? So that's your lesson. Fill out that page. See what you think about figuring out 1 greater or 1 less. Take a picture of it, send it to your teacher. The next lesson will be a little bit bigger numbers, in all honesty. They're coming your way. So keep practicing, keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.